Calaroga Shark Media.
Hey, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. I think we're all crushed and sad and just really upset that the Knicks lost on Monday night. Michael Che is blaming the President of the United States, which I gotta say is totally unfair. The reason the Knicks lost was because of the crooked referees. That is the reason. Call some fouls both ways, guys. I digress. Michael Che posted on Instagram, "You just had to invite Trumpty Dumpty." Spurs 115, New York Knicks 111. Knicks play tonight at 8:30. Johnny Mac plays volleyball at 6:30. Should be a big night. Conan O'Brien has partnered with AI cybersecurity firm Adaptive Security. Conan O'Brien will star in a 15-part training series. I wonder how much he's getting paid for this, because 15's a lot. Conan can't be cheap. These AI people have money. Conan will star in a 15-part training series for customers, exploring the various cyber threats emerging in the AI age, from voice cloning and impersonations to the ever-present threats like phishing and even physical safety. Each episode of the training series, available to Adaptive's enterprise customer base, begins with Conan O'Brien deploying a bit that's relevant to the episode's topic. Conan said, "I teamed up with Adaptive Security just to figure out what these kids are up to. Turns out it's pretty cool." The company reportedly has raised more than $140 million through several investment rounds. Some of that went to Conan O'Brien. Dave Chappelle will return to the cornfields of Yellow Springs, Ohio this summer for Dave Chappelle's Summer Camp, a new run of shows at the Weirig Pavilion. The new dates are July 1st, 2nd, 3rd, August 20th, 21st, 22nd, and August 27th, 28th, 29th. Tickets available today, noon local time at Ticketmaster.com. The 6th edition of Dave Chappelle's Summer Camp celebrates the 6th anniversary of the Cornfield shows. Remember, this started, if I recall correctly, during the pandemic. In 6 years, that sounds about right. No phones, no smartwatches, no accessories, etc., etc. It's a Chappelle show. Guests maintain possession of their devices at all times and can access them through the event only in designated phone use areas. All devices will be secured in yonder pouches, etc., etc. Anyone seen using a device during the performance will be escorted out by security. Marc Maron is beginning to do press for In Memoriam. He plays a comedian with just 6 months to live. He's pushed to connect with the daughter he's never met and finds himself questioning what truly matters. Marc says if you can make it funny and make a point, you should make the point, and people on either side will resist the idea of politics being part of comedy, but it has to be. And if you have something to say and your principles are sound, you should figure out a way to say it. Better if it's funny, just try to make it funny. Howie Mandel and Brian Posehn are in a new music video. This is a collab between German band Electric Callboy and the Offspring's Dexter Holland. The two released a collaborative song called Let the Good Times Roll. In the music video, we see Howie Mandel, Brian Posehn, and John Goblikon. Remember that guy? Yeah. A new documentary is celebrating being able to make fun of the president. It's called Playing POTUS. It's not just about the current president, it's about making fun of all the presidents. Dana Carvey, Will Ferrell, and Alec Baldwin were at the Tribeca Film Festival, and they look back on their presidential impersonations. There was also a panel discussion with SNL writers Jim Downey and Robert Smigel, as well as James Austin Johnson, who plays President Trump on Saturday Night Live. James shared how he gets into the role. He said, "I'm trying to think of a guy who's been working in retail for like 5 decades in a corner in an uncomfortable chair somewhere. And he's just doing that to whatever new worker's walking past. I want to play it like it's a man talking alone in a room, and he'd just be saying all that stuff." The panel moderator asked James Austin Johnson if he has some degree of empathy for the president. Johnson said, "If you can't tell how I feel about Donald Trump from the way that I do him, you're a moron." He said people who come to see him perform him live are sometimes mistakenly under the impression that he loves Donald Trump and they wind up walking out. Johnson said, "I think I play his charm a little bit more, maybe more than Alec Baldwin did. I think I play the secret weapon that he's deployed, which is that he's, funny, intentionally and unintentionally, kind of a hilarious guy. It's not really something I'm looking for when it's time to vote for somebody, but it's been extremely powerful." Johnson said, "Am I fearful of the crazy person who wields the military and seems to target individuals? Yeah, I hope my name never comes out of his mouth." Senior letters to James Austin Johnson. Jim Downey said he sometimes feels like we did a little too much political stuff on SNL, and pointed out that the cold open wasn't always about politics or news of the week the way it is usually these days. Downey said, "Our cold openings were only political about a third of the time." That shifted after we started to get a lot of attention for political sketches in the mid-'80s. And Lauren began to feel like we were almost like a daily newspaper, and we had an obligation to the public to put something political up front. Also appearing and playing POTUS, Maya Rudolph, Keegan-Michael Key, and Chevy Chase. Robbie Hoffman told People, I don't want to jinx anything, but it's pretty good to be me right now. She says this current stretch has come after years of grinding in TV writing and the stand-up circuit. She said this level of success out of the blue would not feel manageable. What's happening with the heated rivalry, boys? That feels like there's no on-ramp. We've been revving up to highway speed for a while. She is thankful for John Mulaney, who directed her first stand-up special, Wake Up. Robbie says he's like a knight in shining armor. He was pivotal in going, I want everyone to know about her. It feels like Batman and Robin, and my name's Robbie. Some quick housekeeping. I'll get into this a little bit more on Friday, but starting on Saturday, for Saturdays in the summer, I'm going to do deep dives on single topics. This week's topic will be Shane Gillis. Next week will be Tony Hinchcliffe. So among the reasons I am doing this is search engines are changing the way they're doing things, and I need to create some content that has longer tail to make sure the show shows up. And hopefully that will lead to more downloads and more people checking out the episodes. Plus, candidly, it's summertime, and I like to pre-tape the weekends. I've always been honest about that. So when you start hearing those Saturdays in the summer, that's what that's all about. I'll get more into it on Friday. And again, it's an experiment. Much like Comedy Stock Market was and Comedy Survivor was, this is a different experiment, and hopefully you guys will like it. And if you all hate it, let me know in the Facebook group, Daily Comedy News Podcast group. I'm not offended. If it sucks, then we won't do it anymore, but I think it's pretty good. I've recorded 3 of them, and they came out pretty well. Jeff Foxworthy caught up with Atlanta Magazine. Good placement there. It's interesting. I have a friendship with Jeff's manager, and I've had Cable Guy in a couple times. I don't know. I didn't ask for Jeff this time around. He's doing some press. I just didn't feel like I had anything to ask Jeff about. Great guy. I have nothing but great things to say about him. He's been very helpful in my career. But I'm slow to ask for the favors, and I just didn't feel like using one this time. But Jeff did speak with Atlanta Magazine, and when comedians ask Jeff for guidance, he says, nobody has your life experience. Nobody has your point of view. The sooner you let your stand-up be you, the better it'll work. That's just part of the learning curve. I think you need to do it every night for 10 years, and all of a sudden you have a style. His biggest piece of advice is you need to hang out in comedy clubs with other comics so you can see how material's performed, developed, and honed, as well as how comics find their own voice. Jeff himself moved to L.A. in the early 90s. He'd watch people like Seinfeld and Stephen Wright. He said Stephen Wright in particular had this really slow and monotone style. He was really popular, and I wondered if I should copy it. Comedians would tell Jeff to tone down his accent, and he said, I tuck my heels in. I'd think, where I come from, you're the one with the stupid accent. I thought this was interesting. I've never heard this story. Foxworthy was performing in Nashville in the late 80s, and Robert Plant, the singer from Led Zeppelin, that guy, walked in to watch Jeff Foxworthy after the show. Foxworthy sought out Robert Plant. Robert Plant told Foxworthy he was funny and said people from London would often make fun of the way that Robert Plant spoke when Plant was growing up. Foxworthy said, I kept thinking as he spoke to me, holy hell, Robert Plant likes redneck jokes. Stef Tolev is having a year. So are the folks at Tom Segura's YMH Studios. They are teaming up. Stef Tolev's podcast, Stef Infection, will premiere with the YMH Studios guys today, which means her career is going to shoot up. So that's an early hint on the comedy stock market this week. That's a great crew to be running with. With Stef Infection, Stef Tolev brings the same no-holds-barred and hilarious honest approach that has made her a fan favorite on stage. The podcast features conversations with guests that deliver outrageous stories about the human body, medical mishaps, intriguing ailments, health quirks, and more. Late Nighter reports that Outside Tonight with Julian Shapiro Barnum will premiere June 17th. That's just 1 week away. This is YouTube's first direct attempt to build a late-night franchise of its own, so Ben Glebe is kind of doing his own thing, but this is YouTube trying to do it. Hosted by the creator behind the YouTube hits Recess Therapy and Celebrity Substitute, which I'm sure are amazingly popular and have never once hit my algorithm. So I'm assuming these are not for 56-year-old guys recording podcasts in their basement. Again, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying factually, it has never once hit my algorithm. Outside Tonight will take the format out of the studio and into public spaces with celebrity interviews, live music, games, and audience interaction staged in parks, plazas, and street corners. So we'll see. That's a week from now. Now, I did look up on Monday at 11:30. I looked up to see how Ben Glebe's second episode did. Ben Glebe episode 2 had, when I looked at 11:30 a.m. on Monday, 22,000 views. That is not going to cut it. Arj Barker will have a new album out on July 17th. It is called The Mind Field. You'll get that via Blonde Medicine. On the Minefield, Arj Barker encourages the audience to reflect on questions insufficiently explored by science, such as, what is consciousness? He also takes on topics like meditation, masturbation, and traveling over an hour to eat mediocre pizza. Track listings include New Zealand travel tips, Night Boner, and Coffee Breath Blues. Meanwhile, up in Canada, the Great Outdoors Comedy Festival annually combines gorgeous green spaces and belly laughs. Once again, they're doing events in Calgary, Edmonton, Halifax, Mississauga, Vancouver, and Winnipeg. Now, the shows July 17th through the 19th in Edmonton and Winnipeg are Pete Davidson, the not-so-canceled Aziz Ansari, Jeff Curry, Bill Burr, just back from the Riyadh Comedy Festival, Matt Rife, Jordan Jensen, Hassan Minhaj, Robbie Hoffman, Ronnie Chang, Jimmy O. Yang, and Adam Ray as Dr. Phil. Then in Halifax in August, you'll get Nikki Glazer, Fortune Feemster, Stef Tolev, Trevor Wallace, Ryan Long, Andrew Schultz, Lucas Zelnick, Cam Patterson, who by that time will probably have announced he's not returning to SNL, alongside Matt Rife and Adam Ray. That's good. Now in Calgary, August 28th to the 30th, you'll get Mulaney, Bill Burr, Tig Notaro, Bob the Drag Queen, Mateo Lane, Mike Birbiglia, Langston Kerman, and Jordan Jensen. Meanwhile, if you're in Vancouver, and you know that you are, Anthony Jeselnik, Pete Holmes, Bruce, and Pete Lee will join Pete Davidson, Bill Burr, Stef Tolev, Adam Ray, Jeff Curry, and Matt Rife at Brockton Point in Stanley Park. If you're in Ontario, you got to wait till September 11th. You guys get Nick Kroll, Fred Armisen, Matt Matthews, Miss Pat, TJ Miller, Catherine Blandford, Michael Costa, Brad Williams, and Grace O'Malley. Now, if you're not overwhelmed by those names, they're joined by John Mulaney, Jeff Curry, Hassan Minhaj, Ronnie Chang, Adam Ray, Mike Birbiglia, and Jordan Jensen. You'll find that at Mississauga's Arundel Park. And that is your comedy news for today, right? It's June. You're sharing the show, right? You're telling everybody, especially you Canadians. You should be like, hey, Canadians, nobody talks about us. This guy did a whole 3-minute segment at the very last item in a show. So if you're Canadian today, you're going to tell a friend about the show. And you can tell them they can follow the show on Spotify where comments are open, and they're going to click that little button that says turn on notifications so that they never miss an episode. You're all going to do that, all right, Canadians? You guys are trustworthy. You're going to do that for me. Coming up tonight, the New York Knicks take on the San Antonio Spurs. That's where I'll be if you're looking for me. See you tomorrow.